never die. When the world is calling you, can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, all right into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die. When the world is calling you, can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, legends never die. They're written down in eternity, but you'll never see the price it costs. The scars collected all their lives. When everything's lost, they pick up their hearts and avenge defeat. Before it all starts, they suffer through harm just to touch a dream. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die. When the world is calling you, can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, legends never die. When the world is calling out your name, begging you to fight. Pick yourself up once more. Pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die. When the world is calling you, can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, legends never die. Do we fight to hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love? Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of a world that we divide. A solar ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last strike. Hearing voices from afar, join the madness when the curtain falls. Risk it all, hold nothing back. Seize the day worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last strike. Can we bring to fall the giants? 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 We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the
You know who it is, coming round again. We want a dose of this, right now it's KD8. I'm a goddess with a blaze, 소리처럼 내 이름 잊지 못하게 loud, 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 loud. I could take you to the top, 절대 멈추지 못해. 내가 끝내주는 bag, yeah, yeah, yeah. And when I start to talk like that, oh, you know how to react. I'm a picture perfect face with the wild in my veins. You can hear it in my growl, 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 growl. So keep your eyes on me now. 무엇을 보든 좋아할 거야. 다 할 수 없는 rebel. 나와 되길 원한 널 확신해. We got it all in our hands now. So can you handle what we're all about? We're so tough. Let's get it, show you out. Can you feel the rush now? Ain't nobody bringing us down, 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 down. They could try, but we gonna wear the crown. You could go another round, 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 round. Wish you luck, but you're not bringing us down. We go hard, till we get it, we go hard. We so in it, we pop stars. Only winning, winning now. Ain't nobody bringing us down, 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 down. You ready for this?
Let's go.
See, 언제든지 내 모습 매직 단 한 번에 내가 잡아 절대 기죽지 않지. 펴펴 네가 뭘 알아. 견딜 수 없어 원해도 원하는 게 얼굴에 보여. I'm troubling you running it, I'm so cold. When I move that way you gon' be so blown. I'm the realest in the game. Said I'm on fire with the blade. You're about to hear my name ringing in your head like whoa. So keep your eyes on me now. 무엇을 보든 좋아할 거야. I'm so tough. Let's get it, show you out. Can you feel the rush now? Ain't nobody bringing us down, 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 down,
Welcome to the world, no heroes and villains. Welcome to the war, we've only begun. So pick up your weapon and face it. There's blood on the ground, go and take it. You get one shot to make it out alive. So higher and higher you chase it. It's deep in your bones, go and take it. This is your moment. Now is your time, so prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Rise, push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. Rise. Welcome to the climb up, reach for the summit. Visions brave and one false step lead the end. So higher and higher you chase it. It's deep in your blood, go and take it. This is your moment. Take to the skies, go. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Push through heaven. They will remember you. It is you fight among the dead beneath the dirt. Or do you know yet? Or do you want it? And when the giants call to ask you what you're worth, do you know yet? We don't die. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Pick up your weapon and face it. It's deep in your blood, it's deep in your blood, go and take it. You can trace it.
Welcome back to Serenity Gaming Autumn Split. I am your caster Nicholas, joined here by Z, and we are going to be casting the last game in Division 2 that has implications for playoff here today, as we are seeing SRG Virgo go up against Just Esports. And Z, can you quickly just tell how much have we had fun with this new patch and going into playoffs there.
Well, I mean, there's a little bit of a difference with this patch when it comes to just all across the map. I mean, we're looking at so many implications when it comes into the new item changes with the lethality, the changes to the meta with the ADCs, whether it be looking at the energized stats or just the implications as a whole, looking at the dragon changes. So, I mean, it's a whole new world out there currently.
Yeah, and it does seem very exciting as we are seeing two teams that have both been very heavy on the team fighting side and really been showing up as they are currently 5th and 6th respectively. Same points in the current times, getting ready for playoffs. And if Virgo wins, they will get 4th place. Meanwhile, if Just Esport wins, they will get 5th. So Just Esports here gets the implication of they can either deny Virgo the spot or in the very least make themselves less likely to be picked by the third place team.
Other than that, looking at the initial bans coming out of the way here, we've got Draven, Thresh, Morgana, and Yasuo. So just some clear meta picks coming straight through immediately.
Yeah, and immediately the first thing that comes to mind here is that everything I've seen so far can technically go bot lane. I've seen some real weird crap going on down there, including some Varus support by a certain streamer. So
Hey,
I would
we
not
talk about
mind seeing
non-meta.
some really weird stuff.
You know, that's currently where preseason stands. So everything's going to be constantly just shifting around here. But these two teams, of course, have been playing for the last couple patches. So I assume they're going to pick something that they're a bit more comfortable with.
Yeah.
So Rise, of course, coming out immediately here.
Yeah, and he has also been picking a lot of steam up, not only because of Wells, but also because during the preseason we had a lot of changes. One of them including a change to Conqueror, making Rise viable in two different ways. Now he's also viable more so as a split pusher, that instead of chasing people down, will just straight up fight. He's no longer as pushy as he used to be. Meanwhile, very standout pickup here for the side of Just Esports with Kaiser Nautilus, presumably for bot lane.
And that's a very standard pick there that you're looking at in the bot lane. I mean, it's actually a really great pick. I mean, if you're not looking for that first pick, Kai'Sa, you're giving it away, in my opinion. And so it's definitely strong with implications looking towards the mid and late game here as we wait for a scale up on Just Esports. But a good response there from Serenity Gaming with the Ezreal and Braum locked in.
Yeah, I still haven't seen a lot of Braum yet. He has been kind of flying under the radar with all of the massive support minutes that has been going on with hook supports lately, especially over the last few months. But definitely now with the Ezreal, who also can get a really nice use of Conqueror because it now lasts 8 seconds on range champions, we can see a lot. And here comes the Olaf, who's been dominating preseason.
Oh my gosh, the changes to the dragon, especially if we're looking at an ocean drake, that soul, once it's on the map, Olaf, the drain tank just is absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah, and Conqueror and Sanguine Blade are also great tools for him because we also have to remember that the reason why Conqueror could change was because it made it almost unplayable for tanks. Therefore, they changed it to do more healing if you do more damage, so it doesn't really matter how much armor and magic resist it has. It's now as it was before. Now it actually matters. So it's always the damage you do, more likely, similar to lifesteal. So it really works well for Olaf, it works well for Ezreal and Ryze, who want to do burst damage, not really fight tanks.
And that's definitely, of course, what we're looking for. But other than fighting tanks, these two comps, no matter what, Ezreal and Rise have that constant option to go for the split push or siege kind of options on across the map. Ezreal and Rise have such good wave management or just the ability to siege and poke down a comp to the point where you can start running it 3-1-1 or 4v1 in the side lanes.
And we also see a lot of priority on this mid lane, perhaps even telling them that this is a Ryze mid lane, especially with the Cassio ban. I think Cassio has been also one of the most dominant Conqueror users, one that certainly is nothing to sniff at because she really is probably the biggest abuser of it we've seen so far in preseason, and being one of the best matchups into Ryze, it's no surprise that's immediately gone, as we might see. Okay, Justpear will probably get that Syndra there, and I haven't seen Syndra much in preseason, but we remember at Worlds it was a monster.
But it definitely is a good matchup there, especially Syndra has showed a lot of prowess, especially from just esports recently. So it's something a bit more safe and allows them to play into it, in my opinion. That I'm curious to see what they're going to pin it against. But if you don't let that, uh, if you don't match it per se, it's definitely going to kind of run rampant. And Akali's going to be picked out here by SRG.
Yeah, and I haven't actually seen a lot of people go Conqueror on Akali. Yeah, we talk about Conqueror because almost everybody is abusing it currently, but it could definitely be something we see here. But Akali has also just been a very skill expressive champion during this year, unlike last, I would say, and has really been improving to really show that now it's actually if you're good at her instead of just completely broken abilities. And Greg is being picked up, my man, the ginger in the jungle. Gotta
Your
love it.
man, the ginger in the jungle. Well, look at the ginger in the top lane about to be locked in.
Oh
Orin
yeah.
here, about to smack the hammer down.
Yeah, the highest win rate top laner is back. uh, yeah, so that was the meme that. And also, we have got changes to Aftershock coming in, so it might even be a pickup by that today. They did change it a lot with a lower cooldown, so it's more effective, especially for junglers, so they can do multiple ganks in a row, which I really appreciate as somebody who has played a few too many Sejuani games in my lifetime.
Hey,
uh,
Sejuani's great.
yeah,
I mean, she's actually finally made her way back in with the recent changes to her. So we
yeah,
actually may be starting to see her in the next few weeks.
yeah, and we also might even see it in top lane as it has made it more prominent. I still do think the Grasp is the go-to for top lane, but if you want to do big team fights as this comp with Kaiser Syndrome might actually do really well with, then perhaps that Aftershock just to make you even tankier wouldn't be a bad shout. I'm a bit surprised though because it is on into Braum and I do recognize that is a pretty hard matchup to play.
Yep, with Unbreakable on the board there, you have to manage that window. So it's completely up to the skill level of Oxytocin here on this Orin. But we'll see. It's not terrible, especially if you're looking for picking up a solo kill in the side lane, pairing with your brittle stacks. He has complete priority over, say, something like the Gragas Akali if they come to his lane.
Yeah, and this is of course a best of three format, and we are playing for playoffs. Now, I'm gonna put you on the spot here and ask, who do you think is gonna win this? Who do you predict is gonna take game one at
Oh,
least?
who do I predict is going to take game one? That's a nice one. Well, I have to say, just looking at just esports comp, I feel like it's a bit more well-rounded in the sense that it has a lot of potential here for not only their team fights, but the ability to start splitting it across the map and looking at other opportunities and win conditions. I don't think that SRG in response has that kind of same ability per se. I feel like they lack some weaknesses, especially with the low damage and the kind of scaling waiting game for something like a Rise to come online. I feel like Just Esports from early to late game has options for themselves. So I mean I'll put that one out there, but I definitely think SRG will take it to the end, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, it definitely is a
Virgo,
close call.
Virgo. There
Yeah,
we
yeah,
go. That's
uh,
the name. It's been
yeah.
a
That
while.
it's a close one for sure. As we look at the teams, they're very evenly matched. They both play for team fight, and they both got great tower diving comps. With both junglers being good at tower dives, top laners easily has great CC or mobility. Mid laners having a great stun as well as Ryze having a roaming ability, and Syndra having a skill button that just kills you. So both teams have great potential, and they've got a few counter matchups in both places. Gragas is one of the best utility champions. On as well gives great late game. So I think it's going to be pretty even, but just esports, I definitely think they have a bit higher potential, especially with my experience with Olaf now. I think the changes benefited him greatly, and I don't think that he's quite at the point where you can just take him out by using Conqueror yourself.
Yeah, that's definitely something you're gonna have to watch out for. But I definitely think both of these two teams just have a lot of opportunities for themselves. So it's not really the end, and they're not too ahead in their matchups in their respective division that either one can be definitely just, chosen immediately and said that, oh, this is obviously gonna be the team that wins this one out here. So, you know, we'll have to see really. It's anyone's game in my opinion.
Yeah, and especially all of the new changes. Like we've just had a few mid patch updates, such as turret plates now being harder to get and getting less gold efficient. Before you would get 160, basically meaning you could lose the entire wave just to get a turret plate, and it would be worth. But now you have to be a little more concerned by actually getting glass hits and whether or not the turret plate is even worth getting, because it's way harder to get now. And then also just the Drake changes, and generally speaking, the changes to items such as lethality and crit might also have big implications, which is gonna be nice.
All right, I hate to tell you this, Nick, but I'm going to have to shift out here. I'm going to be giving away the caster spot for Melky here for a little bit into game one. Hopefully, I'll be back game two, but I'm going to be letting my friend here take over the play-by-play role.
Oh, and what a friend you called in. We called in the big hype squad here. Cheers, Lee, and I will definitely. Uh, I love commentating with you, and I'm sure everybody here will
Yeah,
love that. But for now, we are gonna have the most milky of surprises here coming in with the cereal bowl himself, Milky Cereal. I'm so glad to have you on board, and thank you, C, for helping me get this introduction going. Milky, how you doing?
I'm doing a little bit better than what Z sounded like. I was watching with a friend and we were saying, okay, no, Z sounds like he's about to actually implode. So I've come in to take over and I'm hyped for this. And this should be a fantastic game, Nicholas.
Yeah, it definitely looks to be, as we do have some of the most fun champions here in the preseason, and we can see a lot of the changes being abused here. I especially love to see Gragas. I have mostly seen him before the preseason, but if he can still be viable during all of the crazy stuff that's going on with Dragons, I would really want to see how Duck Guy here can get this on, because I'm pretty sure that this is a sub that shouldn't be Virgo's regular guy to play, which would be interesting.
Yeah. And I'm actually quite interested to see how Virgo can form here. As this Rise Syndra matchup is looking rather interesting in my opinion, because I've been hearing some people talking about how, Rise is good into Syndra, but I still stand on the side that Syndra's going to be shoving in those waves, going to be able to rotate. And we look at just AJ, he's on this Olaf, the aggression with the jungler, which is so vital in this preseason meta. So I'm really looking forward to those two as a duo rotating to the top and the bottom lane.
Yeah, and this is definitely exciting as we're trying to get the synchronization in here, as I do think I'm a little bit ahead of most people.
I think I'm about in the right place now, but anyway, so when I shout and say pentakill's happening or whatever, and well, it hasn't happened yet, I do apologize for the spoilers. But no, I think I'm good as we just passed a 1 minute 30 mark. First strike of the game is going to be a Cloud, and I had him in the back of my head for a second. Oh, so that's going to be a pointless Drake, but then I realized preseason, probably the strongest Drake out there.
It definitely has been debated. I would argue that it's actually the Sleeper Drake who's coming in and really taking the spot with. I would say that what we should be looking at is the Mountain Drake, because it has been so little talked about, but honestly to God, except for maybe because its soul is a bit, let's say, yikes, I would say that the real thing we should be looking at is the percentage resistances, and they can really stack up. I mean,
Okay.
honest to God, like this is insanity. We can see with these, like we will see the tanks just completely implode, as we do see a lot of trading going on.
Yeah, we do indeed. As in the top lane, Case is trying to find a bit of a trade, but he misses the shuriken flip.
Yeah,
And I believe I am now nice and synced up with you guys. As we see this catch of the week, finds his mark onto Zafu, who's trying to find a bit of a return trade onto Justper, but unable to find enough damage, as Justper quite low on mana, and the same can be said for Mr. Vuffer himself.
Yeah, we definitely have like just amazing changes in the preseason, and then we also just completed the Ruin jungle by giving him 1G. But you know, I'll take that we at least get a more consistent level 3. So we can have some more consistent jungle pathings, as there should be a bigger variety now. And I think a lot of jungles will actually be happy with some of these changes. I especially love that I can now actually just get free camps and then gank. That will help me a lot, so I don't have to take procs.
I'm gonna
And
cut
just
you off
pop
there
this.
because Case is going in onto Oxytoxin. Very close. Flash forward. 5-point strike won't be able to find his mark. Cases will be able to get out just in time before the second turret shot comes through. But both top lane is incredibly low and no flashes available either. So we'll have to see whether just AJ or Andelia Andefire will make their way up towards that lane.
And it is an Ornn with grass, so he will just heal this up as Cases will be forced to use the TP if he wants to catch that wave up top lane.
Dredgeline finds its mark in the bottom lane as a Wintersplit will come through the CC onto
Oh.
Barra. Ignite down
Okay.
as well, heal away. But Nico will back off as the Kaiser
Jumps
passive
along.
had almost found his
Okay.
mark. Oh, flash forward! And that's going to be the kill going over to Nico. First blood going to Virgo as now they can look for the Nautilus who will get taken down very low but will be able to escape. 1-0 in favor of Virgo.
Yeah, and this just proves some of these changes already paid off with Conqueror, Ezreal, and Alcove plays. Something we can already show you here that the Kaiser was not prepared for.
No, the Kaiser most certainly was not prepared for that at all. The Mystic Shot clipping Barra, and well, then the flash over the alcove and the auto attack, no way out at all. Very cleanly played by the Virgo bot lane, and now in the mid lane we see the Scatter of the Week coming through, and just getting a slightly advantageous trade.
Yeah, and we just see both junglers just hovering in river, getting ready for if something happens, just looking very cautiously until they hit level 6.
As some more damage coming out onto Vuffer, but the overload comes through, finds some return damage out, and I do stand by what I said. This mid lane is going to be extremely entertaining to see how it does develop, as we have seen the tier picked up by Vuffer, as Nico TPing back into lane. Dredgeline is going to be able to find his mark, some damage, but the Unbreakable will deny a lot of that, and now Nico can look to find some return damage through, but nothing is going to come out, as we see Oxytoxin getting a favorable trade in the top.
Yeah, and we definitely have to also just quickly talk about that. While we did hype up a lot of this Conqueror stuff, the only ones we really see with Conqueror are of course the Ezreal, Akali, and Olaf. So while we did hype it maybe a little too much in the pregame, it's more so just because now there's more options. You can definitely do a lot of stuff, and while Rice can certainly take it, he doesn't have to. It's still just fine to get face rush. It's just a different playstyle, and for this, being able to chase down the Syndra might just be better than having that bit extra sustainability, as he is a way lower range than the Syndra in general.
We'll keep our fingers crossed then for a Cassiopeia in games at 2 or potentially 3, as that snake definitely takes Conqueror now. So we're going to see Vuffer finding a bit of a trade as the Unleash power very early, and here comes the Olaf as well with the Undertow flash forward. Just AJ picking up the kill.
Yeah, and that does definitely seem to be one hell of a duo. Just immediately as we're getting ready for one fight, just AJ is just already there. Just make sure the stun lands. He lands the axe, he flashes for the thunder, and then he lays down the smackdown onto Woofer here, as we do see trading in top lane again.
Yeah, the Searing Charger forward will find the knock-up onto Cases, but would be a somewhat favorable trade for Oxytoxin. But going back to this mid lane slash jungle, now that AJ has turned up, now that they have got a kill onto Vuffer, this is where I want to see I want to see
a
Per.
pulse.
Good old pulse coming in, but it's 1 kill to 1 at the minute. Gold is practically identical. First Drake of the game is going to be that Cloud, and with AJ backing off now, it might give Andefir a chance to go for it. However, he is in his top side of the jungle.
Yeah, that duck guy on that Gragas, yeah, he is seemingly the one with the connection problems, not being able to communicate with his team. Classic jungle move, you know, the jungle won't communicate. But it would also kind of explain why we haven't seen the best of, utilization of the Gragas yet. With the Predator, should already have been finding something, but hasn't really found the opportunity to yet. And he is about to go into his top side here, which is very much warded. So yeah, I do think he's gonna have a bit of a problem actually getting to use his power as of late, and with all of the vision already set up, I honestly think that it's gonna be pretty hard here for Virgo to get back into the game at least with the help of that guy. I still think they have quite a substantial lead in bot lane. But Ezreal will conquer, while really strong, definitely the best pick for Ezreal right now. It's not the same as Klepto. It's better late game because of Klepto just falling off naturally. But Ezreal isn't a late game champion to begin with, so you really just wanted that Klepto for the early stacking. I'm really surprised to see how well Nico and Better Benna has been playing this matchup, and I'm looking forward to see if they can really step up to be the carry, because that is how Virgo usually wins it.
And let's see how that develops. We are still in the pause at 2 minutes later. And again, see how this mid lane matchup develops. Also as well in the top lane, where the cases can pick up that early kill. Came so close in the opening minutes to picking up that first blood, and that could have changed the dynamics of this game drastically.
Yeah, and I also think that's you could actually explain that through the Neo Conqueror change, because it does do less damage than it used to before. It's more adaptive damage, I'm pretty sure, but it doesn't get that true damage buff, which was the large part of why it was so strong before. It didn't make anything worse by it, that it also gave pre-medication healing, which meant that it didn't account for armor and magic resist. It just accounted the healing based on health, meaning it was pretty strong. But now with the pro mitigation, even though it's bigger, against tanks you'll feel that the healing might even be lower than it was before.
Yeah, and without that true damage as well on that Conqueror proc, it just means that Bruise is just having a bit more of a tricky time into tanks, and that's why we're seeing a lot more Orns coming through, and indeed some signs as well peeking back into the meta.
Yeah, and it's gonna be hard to see how they will try and get this counter top lane going. I do think that Sanguine Blade is a possibility, but I would still like to see some way of having to go top lane without having a Borg, Black Cleaver, or a Sanguine Blade to even make a fair playing field.
Good old Sanguine Blade, an absolutely disgusting item right now. As we are going to be seeing that Drake get picked up, as we did see Just Esports hovering around, or I should say AJ hovering around that first Drake of the game, and it will indeed be picked up. So that's 10% ultimate cooldown reduction coming through for the side of Just Esports. Rift Herald is also up on the Rift as well now.
Yeah, and we definitely just have to also look at these ults. Like, we have no... Okay, we are seeing a fight down bot lane.
Yeah, it's support versus ADC, as the Glacial Fissure will come out. Unbreakable as well. True Shot Barrage, a lot of damage. Barra gets taken down. Beta Benna surviving for a long time, and the concussive blows will come through. Carry with and nowhere to go. Will surely get taken down. The Mystic Shot in, and that is the double kill for Nika.
Yeah, Conqueror OP, by the way, as Better Benna goes forward, takes all of it, and then Guardian just completely procs there. Don't even need a heal in this lane, as these guys are just playing it so well, and now there's such a big lead on Ezreal. Who needs Kleptomancy when you got the damage?
Who does need Kleptomancy indeed? Well, no one right now, because Kleptomancy is no longer a rune.
Oh, how tragic. Such a fun and interactive game plan. You go top lane, you play melee tank with no ranged ability, the enemy has Kleptomancy. Alright, I guess I'm gonna give them 700 gold.
Seems to be the general consensus of every top lane tank player ever.
And Shin, don't worry.
Oh. Good trade coming in by Cases onto Oxytoxin. Dodges the Searing Charge with that Shuriken flip. And, I mean, neither top laners... Well, Oxytoxin has back. Cases... He's picked up an Amplifying Tome. And that's it. So, once he can get, you know, the Bilge Water Cutlass or the... what's it called? The Hextech... No, not the Hextech Gunblade. The Revolver, there we go. Yeah, then maybe we can see him start to have a bit of an impact. Maybe some damage in this lane.
Yes. So he's going for a mix of it here. Just getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah. He says, Oxytoxin, you can build items in lane. Well, I can heal up in lane. As a Force of Will coming down onto Buffer will proc the Electrocute as the Dark Sphere does miss its mark. No, the slow coming in, just Per does burn the unleashed power, but so much damage coming through from Vuffer. As in the bot lane, we're seeing the alcoves getting used to good effect, and Defier trying to sneak in, but will be unable to do so. As in the top lane cases, with his newly found items, looking aggressive. He has perfect execution available. Will go in. Can he find the final 5-point strike? Yes, he can. Flash out. Cases clean as you like, picking up the solo kill.
Yeah, that was a very nicely played, and there was not much Oxytocin can do. Even if he had called for the own horn, there's not very likelihood that he will get out of that one. That was just incredibly played by Cases, and really just showing how much he's practiced on this champion.
You mentioned very well played by Cases, as the Scatter of the Week denies the overload from finding its mark onto Per. 4 kills to 1 at the minute in favor of Virgo, and they're now sporting a 1k goal lead.
Yeah, and they've been really proactive in this bot lane especially, and we've also seen cases like 1v1, and we haven't really seen Duckguy even be a part of this game yet. So I'm just really impressed by these side lanes, just getting all of the leads by themselves, even though that usually, as we've seen in the metas prior to this preseason, it has just been very jungle related. Not because of jungle necessarily being OP, but because of how much of the early game is influenced by them.
Call of the Forge God coming through in the top lane. Won't be able to find his mark onto Cases, who should be able to get out of this one. But yeah, Per is making her way up. See, Bellows Breath will come through, and the Scatter of the Week will snipe the Cases down.
Yeah, and Duckguy also just being spotted out by just AJ, so he had no way of getting up to help as well. Just a bit too greedy by Cases there, and Oxytocin just immediately punish it. A nice rotation by just Per, like, that's good communication.
And this is what we were talking about earlier on in the game, the fact that Per should be able to shove in these waves very well onto Vuffer. Speaking of Vuffer, Per looking aggressive as AJ making his way down, but Vuffer will just back out of it.
Yeah, and this mid lane difference isn't necessarily a skill one, it's a gold one, as we do see that Woofer is not allowed to get farm. He has the way shorter range, and he doesn't have the jungle presence to really step up. And we just see Just Bear here with 30 CS lead, a kill lead, assist lead, just general EXP lead. There's not much you can do in Woofer's scenario. He needs to get some sweet love and attention by the drunk man in the jungle, but so far, I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Oh, Just Bear, no mana. And here we have the Duckguy going in.
And Defier goes in. Yeah, and Defier picks up the kill and the flash, as you mentioned, as Case is going to get hit by this searing charge. Can he find a way out of this? As meanwhile, in the river, some damage coming through as Buffer's going to get taken down, and Defier will fall as well. Double kill going over to AJ as in the top lane. We're seeing Cases turning this one back around. Now, the perfect execution is available. Cases, though, he needs to be able to find a way in, as we are seeing AJ looking to pick up the second Drake of the game. But Peter Benner looking to go in. The TP gets channeled. Glacial Fisher comes through. Carry surely will fall. The Drake has already been secured, but that's 1 kill going over to the side of Just Esports. Cases will turn it around. Finds the second kill for Virgo.
Yeah, we do see what soul we're getting. We're getting the Ocean Soul, and both Drakes have so far gone over to the side of Just Esports. They're 2 for 4 right now to get those big boy souls, but now we have the terrain change as Ocean, meaning more honey fruit, more bushes. Love it.
If only there was a ringer. But there isn't. Scatter of the Week comes through in the mid lane. Cases takes a bit of damage, as you mentioned. 7 kills before a 2k goal lead for the side of Virgo. And
that's a thick bush.
that is a bigger brush, as the Realm Warp coming through. The focus is on to Per. Flash forward from Beta. Actually, it was flash from Buffer, but they're not going to be able to find anything. Call of Forge God coming through straight after the TP. Unbreakable will come out by some time. Beta Benner a little bit low, will be able to survive under the turret.
Yeah, we just see finally some rotations going on here from the side of Virgo, because in the early game they've basically gotten themselves their own leads, and now they're finally starting to do some map plays, and it's really nice to see that these guys communicate here and really trying to put the pressure on now.
As AJ just going to clear some vision, but I feel the crucial factor in this game is that despite Virgo having the gold lead, having the kill lead, the fact remains that there are 2 Drakes for nothing, as some damage onto Defier, and now potentially the turnaround. Per step too far forward, and Nico will go unstoppable.
Yeah, and as you were saying, of course, there is the Drake fact, as Olaf is probably getting this Earth Tower right now. But especially also the alt Drake here in Cloud, because they have an Ornn, they have a Syndra, they have a Kai'Sa and Nautilus, and they are so alt reliant in their playstyle. So having that up even more so and not being affected by CDR, that's going to be a big issue for the side of Virgo if they let the game drag out a bit too long and they keep using them every fight.
AJ looking aggressive steps forward as the Wintersplit misses its mark. Two-shot barrage,
Oh, that
flies
guy, no
wide,
problem.
and the
Oh,
Ragnarok coming
Ragnarok.
out. Oh, under fear, nowhere to go. AJ picks up the solo kill.
Yeah, and that's the true Viking way, just Ragnaroking through it, not caring about any obstacles. There's no way that a beta Viking such as Krakus, who's just a goddamn obelisk reference, can do anything against this man of a man.
Yeah, the explosive cast just cancelled out by the Ragnarok entirely. Fantastically timed by AJ. And, you know, this is what we talked about. You know, we mentioned how big the jungle difference we expected to be with an Olaf into a Gragas. And that's really been the story so far. Dreadstone finds Sparkers. Oh, Unleashed Power comes through. That's one going over to Just Esports. And now they look for Beta Benner. Depth Charge comes in. The Ignite on top. And the Dark Sphere picks up the kill, as we're seeing. The Hextech Gunblade proc coming out onto Bada Isag, but no follow-up as Vuffer might look to turn this around onto Oxytoxin. A lot of damage coming through with the Overloads. Won't be able to sidestep the call of the Forge God.
Looking to turn it around on what the?
Oxytoxin does indeed find the kill. But meanwhile, in the mid lane, we're seeing Just Esports with that Herald pushing forward aggressively, and they will be able to find this inner turret as well. Potentially, no, it's going to survive with under 100 HP.
But what if 180 just in 1 minute they have turned the game completely around? Now they're completely in the lead in so many aspects, and it's just insane how quickly the games turn during like the last few seasons, especially in this preseason as cases.
Oh, he spots out, but so much damage. Shuriken flip in. Good night, but Isag as the kill goes over to Cases.
And on level 12, new items. Woo!
So we are seeing, you know, as you mentioned, it's a battle of the side lanes versus the mid and jungle. Cases and Nico really popping off for Virgo, but for Just Esports, Per and AJ having fantastic games so far.
Yeah, definitely so. And what I really want to see here as well is, while we do see Cases having a lead, it's not very much. It's Oxytoxin still being in the game, about the same farm, and she's got all upgraded items. There's no way that this very heavy AP stacked team can really do much against this Infernal Mask on right now. So he should just be able to set up plays in these 2v2 scenarios or 2v1 and just.
I'm going to cut you off there, Cases. Okay, never mind.
No.
Cases not going to be able to find
Conqueror,
enough.
no true damage. Sorry to say, Milky. They removed that. I know.
It's
love,
still a Kali.
yeah, we do still remember it fondly, and we have to readjust. But sadly, Conqueror no longer deals much damage against Ornn. We need no counters as Ocean Drake has been started. And there's TP in here. They have to rush
Yep,
it.
the TPs are coming in. Ragnarok will come through. The steel comes in as the Unbreakable will deny a little bit of the call of the Forge God. Depth Charge comes in. Nico is down. The 5v5s are just stronger from Just Esports. They look for Buffer, but they will find a Buffer. 3 kills for nothing just come out on top, and they pick up their third Drake of the game.
Yeah, great TP in from Just Pan. Just a poor setup here from Virgo. Not really respecting that they could be engaged on and not committing to the call either. So they lose the Drake, they lose the fight in a 3-for-0 as well. Woofer almost picking up Carrier, but not quite being able to. No bounce just right there for him, sadly. And this is just demoralizing. What else can we say? Like, they do seem to have a lot of possibilities here for Virgo. They had the leads, they built them for themselves as well. But after they made a few team plays, and then they started grouping up, and then when they started grouping up, they started being caught out every now and then.
Indeed they do. Now, the thing that I'm interested by is the fact that we're seeing, you know, Nico is absolutely popping. Like, without a doubt, he has been popping off crazily. But he's gone for the Iceborne Gauntlet, and I would have expected the Triforce to come out. Just when you're ahead on Ezreal, it just tends to be a no-brainer. You go for that Triforce. But he's gone... Sorry, continue.
No, like I'm entirely agreeing on you here. I would also like to see the Triforce. I don't really understand what the idea is. You can't slow down the Olaf.
Hmm.
Like, you make a great and valid point here, Milky. It's unlike you.
Wow.
Oh, but top tower is being focused on
Okay.
here, but just as you might be caught out as a result. Oh no, that's Nico caught
Oh,
out there.
Dark
Apparently.
Sphere and the
Yeah,
unstoppable.
this is a collapse. Nico have to flash.
Yeah, the collapse will come in, but who is collapsing on who exactly? Nico gonna get caught out. Dredgeline misses his mark, and the E over the wall, but the depth charge will come through the unbreakable channel, and if you're trying to make his way out, but he just walks into Per and will fall. Another kill going over to Just Esports. 12 kills to 9 now in their favor, and they've turned around their gold deficit, currently sitting 1k gold up. With Baron on the cards, and Fear is down. There is no smite available for Virgo, and I don't think there will be any contestation here from Virgo either.
Yeah, and this is like the start of Spring Split Fnatic kind of rotation we're seeing here. They know exactly what they're doing. They know on the side of Virgo here. They really want to get it all down. They have the right call, and then they don't commit fast enough. There's just a bit of time delay that really stops it. Oh, this is
Oh,
a fight.
Killer Instinct coming in. Buffer is the target. Beta
Nico
Bennett
is
will
shielded.
turn up, and no kills are coming through. I want to go.
Stopping the backs.
As you mentioned, the backs will get stopped. It does buy cases some time, but he's already left the bottom lane. Now, this is what I wanted to bring up, because in these 5v5 fights, we're not seeing cases
AJ?
really being there as AJ. He's looking aggressive. I don't know
AJ
why
was
he's still
free, yeah.
staying around, and now he's forced to flash away as Andafir will back off after dashing forward with the body slam. But I want to go back to that point, because cases is so vital for the side of Virgo in these fights. Virgo, they don't want to all in. They want to like consistently poke with that Ezreal damage and then find a pick with the Akali. But Just Esports have done a fantastic job of actually forcing that fight and ending it quickly enough such that Nico can't get that poke damage down and before Cases turns up.
Yes, we might just see a pick.
Oh, Scatter of the Weak Dredge line in, and that is a very dead brawl. It's now a 5v4 in the mid lane. Just Esports looking to end this one fast as we approach the 23-minute mark. They look to the inhibitor turret, and they will pick it up with the help of the Demolish proc. They keep on looking to find picks. Just Virgo just cannot get close. The Scatter of the Weak is just so great at zoning here.
Yeah, and this is just an incredible performance we're seeing by Just Esport. Just really nice teamwork, good grouping, and rotation plays are on point. We definitely have seen some great performance during the split, and we can see just how much is on the line here. With Virgo, of course, being able to get 4th place if they win this series, we do really expect Just Esports to say, no, we want to choose who's going where, and making sure that Virgo will be picked over them by a higher seeding team. That will probably be a great intention for them.
Just remind me, Nicholas, of where both teams currently sit and standing. Actually, though, we'll take a look at this realm of the Scatter of the Weak instantly. Poe is unstoppable, and that was a very questionable realm from Vuffer. And now Just Esports should have a free control over this ocean, and if they pick it up, this is the Ocean Soul as well. Call of the Forge God comes in. Oh, great. Fantastically stopped by the Unbreakable. But Oxytoxin and Just Per are just zoning Virgo away. The Drake will be secured, and that is going to be the Ocean Soul going over to Just Esports.
Yeah, and the Ocean Soul has been so crazy. Just being able to poke out with one ability and then suddenly you just get a third of your health back. It's insane how many heals have been gotten. It's been so crazy they had to nerf the initial Drake just to ensure that the soul was more balanced. So, for those who don't know, Warmox has one of the craziest passes when out of combat in health regen. And if you got 2 of the Ocean Drakes, it was almost the same without the out of combat tag. It was just so crazy to look at, and now we get to see like 2 Ocean Drakes. That's still pretty good.
But this is one of the things that I was thinking about earlier on in this game, because we were talking about, oh look, Oxytoxin, pardon me. Actually, I'll hold that thought for a second as the root comes through. Nothing will come of it though, as the slow, followed by a large amount of overloads. But We were talking early on, oh, Case is doing a fantastic job into Oxytoxin. Nico popping off against the Kaiser Nautilus. But I was thinking, it doesn't actually matter because there are two Drakes going over to the side of a Just Esport. They aren't really that far behind, and it was the crucial members, AJ and Per, who are ahead, and they're the ones who ultimately give control of the Drake over. Cases goes in, Cases goes right back out. Per is dominating. Easy clap coming in from the Just Esports mid lane.
Yeah, we're definitely just seeing like the mid and jungle here being so incredibly important for Just Esport. They're just completely crushing. And while I've been told that saying jungle different isn't the greatest thing for my part, as
Oh.
I'm a jungle myself. As
TP coming through, Call of the Forge God, will it be able to find its mark? Unbreakable will stop it, but Beta Ben in a tricky situation. The stand behind Brawlberg comes through, Oxytoxin into the fight, Scatter of the Weak comes through, Just Bird taking a lot of damage, will get taken down the shutdown, going over onto Buffer. Beta Ben though will fall, Realm Mob will take Buffer, and Andafir out to safety, but it is a 1-for-1, actually a 2-for-1 in the extended fight if you include that kill onto Cases. Just Esports, they will back off after they do pick up that inner turret in the top lane.
Yeah, and while this is still a net neutral win here for Just Esports, I will say that this gives Virgo a bit more time to breathe, just really giving them some time to just, what is their strategy? They have to kind of get an idea of where do we want to take the game from here on out. And I will say it's going to be a pretty hard choice, especially they need some way to deal with Just Pair. They finally did in this fight. So now they have to find out how do we get Kaiser to actually be in these fights, because he is so valuable if we need to get anything done for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Cases has to be in that fight. That was a 4v5, and Virgo came out of that one pretty well. We are in the mid game. Cases is strong. The Rise is strong. The Ezreal is strong. They are at their power spikes. They need to be able to find something, and Cases trying to match Per in the side is not going to work because of that Banshee's Veil. Has a lot of damage onto carry, will take the Dredge line to safety. Call of the Forge God comes in, Scatter of the Weak finds his mark, Beta Benner gets taken down, and with the second Baron of the game up, this one should be going over to Just Esports unless there is some way Virgo can go in. The flash forward, Buffer is deleted. Just Per will take the Blast Cone out to safety as Andafir looking to chase Nico with the E over the wall, won't be able to find anything. Two Shot Barrage will skim most of the members of Virgo. Baron down to 2000 HP. Andafir tries, but Andafir will get taken down. Now Nico is going to be the focus. The depth charge comes through, flash over with the Ragnarok. That is a dead Nico. We talked about how Cases was taken out before the fight last time. Well, this time it's the other way around here, Nicholas. Cases is the only man standing, and as I say that, Beta Benner is a backup, but all 5 members of Just Esports, they are pushing through in the mid lane. They are looking for the end. The inhibitor stands as do 2 Nexus turrets. Virgo have to pull off a miracle.
Yeah, and this just proves what preseason has shown. It's either you're a massive tank top laner or you're a squishy target, as the last fight of the game might just break out here.
The last fight has broken out. Beta Benner will get taken down. Now the focus onto Cases. Tries to find Barry Sec, but he gets deleted. The ace will come through as Gragas respawns the final Nexus turret. Force the healing on Oxytoxin. That's another kill. Nico's back up, but the Nexus is on half HP, and game 1 will go to Just Esports.
Drakes matter. Jesus Dragon. Can you stop? I think you need to be nerfed again.
Wow. So well played from Just Esports. They lost, as we mentioned, those 2 side lanes, but Per and AJ coming out absolutely huge. 5-1-10 for AJ, 9-3-8 on the Syndra. You couldn't have really asked for more from those 2.
Yeah, like I have no idea. Like this was clearly just a perspective about who got fed on either side. Cases was definitely ahead of Octotoxin, but it wasn't a big lead because Octotoxin will just permanently outscale Cases, and Cases' one job is to deal with backline. So the backline needs to be squishy enough for him to deal with. The Cases did get weak enough because Nico and Better Banner had a fantastic laning phase. Have to get a shout out to that as well. But Woofer and that guy here, and if you're on Gragas, did just get outmatched by Just Pair and Just AJ, who had perfect synergy, really just setting up nicely here. And while there was a big catch or two we did just immediately see them turn around, and this was just an amazing synergy between Just Esports. And while Virgo definitely had like its pride moments from the once the mid game was finally in and the two dragons had been taken, then we suddenly just saw Just Esports take the win and really just prove how much they deserve to get this 5th spot.
On that note, though, we're going to be heading into a short break, but we'll be right back with game 2 of the series as Virgo will look to level up the scorelines against Just Esports.
Welcome back, guys, to SRG Autumn Split, as we are in the last series for Division 2 that truly matters towards playoffs. It is Virgo versus Just Esport, and I am your colorcaster Nicholas, joined here by C, as we did have Milky Phil in here for Game 1, and we also have a 1-0 now for Just Esports. Z, how you doing?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I could be doing a little bit better. My voice is completely shot, but out of love for Serenity Gaming this year, I'm going to do my best that I can.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate your effort here, man, and we of course apologize. We don't think that this is the most quality stream we've ever had, but we will definitely go out of it for you guys. And see here, he's gonna soldier through it because we love giving you guys this content as much as possible. We love all of you for tuning in and really making this possible, as well as our sponsors. We are so glad that Hungry.dk, Streampost, Forbes, Trigas Esport, and Kim's Chips have all decided to help us out, because it really shows that you guys really care, and it makes sure that these players really also have the stage to really prove themselves. And we are just so excited to see what's going to happen here, because Just Esports are just taking game 1, which means Virgo needs to win the next 2 games in a row to get that 4th place in the playoffs. And if they don't, we might just see that they get picked up here by the 3rd place, and then they will have a lot harder time getting through the playoff stage. As we are getting closer and closer to Champions Select, I do want to talk about the last game, because we did see some very big stuff happening without the jungler. That's something we of course aren't used to. What is your take on the current state of jungle?
So, the jungle has changed a bit recently, with the constant camps now being up much quicker and the XP changes being a bit downer. The concept of the gank has become much less prevalent, and going for a gank can be much more punishing now. In the Season 9, there was this meta of being able to constantly go in for the ganks and being able to catch up on the XP and being able to really get back into it no matter what. Now, with the current meta, with the actual new change of the jungle, farming junglers are back, ganks are much more punishable, so it's a bigger implication, especially now with the objectives being so important. So I feel like jungle now has a bit more priority on the Rift, instead of just being this gank bot that we saw throughout Season 9.
Yeah, especially also because of the catch-up EXP being changed. That was a very big one. Before, even if you were behind, if you were just far enough behind, you would get that catch-up EXP as well, and you could always just play your entire red side, leaving your blue side alone. Basically meaning you have an extreme EXP source, unlike just about anything else in the game, both for early and mid game. And now that the dragons are so prevalent, because they now actually have a viable implication of winning the game as a win condition, I think it's a lot better to punish by getting a lot of objective control than it was before. Because even if the enemy team had 3 Infernals, it wasn't actually a secured win before. But I think if you get like the 4 Infernals now, you will suddenly feel a lot harder to win the game.
Yeah, but it's a little bit more difficult to really get the dragons now, in my opinion, since they are such a highly contested point across the map. So
Indeed.
I believe even though jungle has now shown more prowess and it's definitely much more important, it's now contested more so. So teams definitely are really fighting out, and that's why we see so many engagements and so many concepts with these team fights really taking place around some of these more early drakes now, compared to what we usually saw in the last season, where people would go for Rift in a trade for a dragon and etc.
Yeah, I definitely do think that the objective control is a lot healthier than it used to be for Dragon, and especially just for jungle in general. I do think that jungle last game year was pretty problematic. We have always had that complaint that better jungler wins, of course, and so on, like junglers just being at that role or having way too much impact. But I think that even though there's been some really big changes, it has so far worked out greatly for them. We still have to see if the RNG from the initial change of the map is going to be a way too big of a hindrance for the gameplay, as the RNG can mean a lot for certain champions. But just in general, having that 2 Rift Herald with Heralds no longer just always lasting for 2 turrets, which they almost always did before, that's a big change, as well as just seeing that dragons actually being contested in early game, instead of not being taken until 19 minutes, is so great to see. and I do really hope to see that we can get some newly revitalized stuff going through here for Virgo's mid jungle duo. I do want to see them get a bit more presence with each other, since they were the guys who had the roughest time last game.
I will say, coming into this, Virgo has a lot to play up against, though, from Just Esports. They showed a lot of prowess in Game 1. It wasn't like they were a real pushover. So I believe, yes, they need to start playing a bit more proactively instead of reactively if they really need to show a change, because they've got 2 games to prove themselves here.
Yeah, definitely. So, as we also have to realize that while Nico and Better Better did nicely down bot lane, it was also largely because that they didn't expect as much damage to come in from Nico and Better Better from Barisay and Carry Rope side, because Carry Rope would keep going for an engage, and then they didn't expect the Ezreal to turn it around. And that was largely what happened in the early game, as we are in Champions League, and I would not mind seeing some bans going towards that mid jungle duo as the Olaf immediately gets banned. I love that.
So definitely showing some more reactive bans here. Olaf, Yasuo, Morgana coming out a bit. Oh, as well as the Syndra. So Virgo's really targeting out Just Esports here from last game.
Yeah, definitely. Like, we are seeing the big problems being addressed immediately, as we still do see the Yasuo and Kaiser being banned, but this time the Kaiser, just to ensure that Nico won't pick it with the knowledge on the red side here.
Other than that, finishing out there, the Thresh comes through. Looking like Just Esports is going to be locking in their ADC first, so they're going to be heading through the bot lane. Ooh, Mundo. No, actually, Mundo is actually
Okay, I'm
really...
getting ready for if this is just like a whole pick, like could it be a placeholder, you know?
Well, I mean, I wish it was Mundo, but it could be Teemo. Either way,
It could
current
just be a
meta...
Humber. I want to be sure though. Okay, Leona. Milky, why did you... For those who don't know, Milky Cereal, who was the caster for the last game, is a Leona main. So every time Leona is on, he
Ew.
loves it. So
That's disgusting. I didn't know he was a Leona main.
yeah, I know,
What a...
disgusting indeed.
Yeah.
Have to ban Morgana and then you get a free end.
Other than that, their bot lane's going to be finishing itself out with the Lucian. I would expect to see Just Esports do the same here pretty quickly.
That's a bit interesting, actually. I would more so like to see Braum Lucian, as we did see a better bet on Braum last time, and we do know that Oxytocin would probably go for all if he has the availability to, and Greg is still being up for just AJ here to pick up as well. Like, these are some tools that really could be punished by Braum, so I'm surprised to see Leona instead.
Well, I definitely think Braum is a bit more... We don't quite know how it's going to go, but I definitely think Braum is a bit more situational currently in this meta. I think if you're looking for a good support, you want heavy engage, or if you're looking for a sustainability into the mid to late game, you need something like that. But as I just said, Nautilus Leona, heavy engage, supports that have great agency.
Yeah, and one jungler who's been popping up way too often lately has been Rek'Sai. People have been like, why is Rek'Sai suddenly popular? Not only does she do well into a lot of lanes, but she has one of the greatest synergies in mid lane right now with a certain pick called Cassiopeia. And their duo is so insane, in fact, that they might honestly have the best jungle mid lane percentage. And I'm not sure about this, I haven't checked it today, but it was that last week. And I'm curious to see if it still is today, because Cassie has been tearing up solo queue by herself, and Rek'Sai just means that win rate goes even higher, because Rek'Sai is still one of the best early game gangers in the game, and versus Gragas, I love the pickup, as Kennen and Vladimir both solo lanes being targeted right now.
As well as Malzahar, so they're definitely focusing out that top and mid, of course, as they should be, as only things left on the map. But I'm surprised the prevalence here towards the mages, Fiora being the only ban out here that is somewhat more of the bruiser split push, sanguine blade abuser, kinda.
Yeah, we did see a lot of sanguine abusers immediately. It was hotfixed with a little nerf there. I do still think it's very prevalent, but it does take a bit longer to ramp up, so it's probably better to get it as a second item now than it was before, where you just buy the first item on almost anything in the top lane and it would be good enough. But we are seeing cases getting that Akali again. It could be worth us. I do know he has played Akali some before, but I will assume that Kaiser will play it again since he did a great performance last game, just not enough to carry.
Yeah. So what a shame. I do think I saw a few moments there because I was still watching game one where the Akalu had a chance to really get ahead, but the Syndra was just so dominant. But so, of course, that's why we saw that ban right in the first set there. Other than that, Orin being locked in for just esports.
Yeah, and this is why like this champion select seems very confusing to me from Virgo's side. They knew for a fact that with the Braum as the counter pick to on they either needed it banned or they needed to ensure a different policy to deal with on. Yet it doesn't seem they've found it. They are going full on input on early game, and I don't know if they have a pick that now can deal with this amount of mid game pressure that just esports will present themselves. So many big ults, so much team fight, so much AoE. As that could indeed be a Riven top lane. Cases do also play Riven, and we can see Woofer get that Akali. Still one of his most played champions. I would really love to see this. I think this is way better than what we presented before.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right, so we're going to be
that's
seeing a
why.
bit more of the dueling coming out of Virgo this time. They definitely set themselves up to look for the fights across the map here, whether it be the Akali in the mid lane or the Riven in the top side.
Yeah, and this also makes it so Doug doesn't have to immediately go to mid lane. Akali can easily just be kiting Orianna for quite a while. It's not an easy lane by any means, but it's one of the, let's say, less punishable ones. And Doug can then just focus on this or get this Riven ahead. Really make sure that without Spear of Shojin, she's still viable. Because with a big Riven, you can suddenly be a lot scarier against an Orianna and the Sire.
Yeah. Other than that, though, I don't know quite how these two teams are match up here. Just Esports in game one show that they have such a great presence on just being able to really control and exude pressure, and they have such a great emphasis on playing proactively against these objectives. And they've picked a comp for themselves that allows them to really get into these team fights with the big wombo combos. I think Virgo, if they're going to want to have any implications on game two here, really have to show something early.
Yeah, and I also think that bot lane is going to play a huge role in this. Not only just because just AJ should have the priority for it, but also just how is Better Bennett gonna honestly own a matchup to Sire Nautilus, because this is a very heavy skill matchup. If the Leona can tank all of it up with her W and Aftershock alone, then suddenly that matchup looks way better for the side of Virgo. But Sire Nautilus in theory should still have the advantage in this lane, so it's really going to be up to the support as well as Saya here by Say, who will really determine how this lane going to go. And Nico just has to not be caught out. That's his job.
Oh my. I will say though, just looking at compared to game one here, the difference in these two comps, what is something that stands out pretty prevalently to you, Nick?
I definitely think that how in the last game we did see a lot more late game come out. Like we do see Just Esports is a mid to late game comp. It still does well in the late game, but they don't have any insane late game. So Saya is great late game, but you would still perhaps see her as an A tier, not an S tier for late game. Same with Oriana, same for Nautilus, who is more so mid game as well, just to be there, and Kragas for utility, which is just around the B and A. Meanwhile, we see entirely Virgo's lineup being revolved around early to mid game. These guys really want to get something going in the first 15 minutes. Every time an ult is up, they need to get something done, and they need especially Duck Guy here to be a big part of it, because if he isn't around the map prior to level 6, then suddenly this game is entirely up for grabs for Just Esports. And while it's hard to deny that Just Esports just got a good win off, it really is pretty much determined by how fast this game goes. I don't know what mentality both these teams are coming in with, but Just Esports need to play this very, very defensively, not reactively, but defensively, just making sure that there's nothing getting off the ground by Virgo. Meanwhile, Virgo has to force. They need to take all the risks. They need to get ready to risk everything, because with this kind of comp, they can't afford to have any hesitation like they showed in game one.
Well, can you give me any sense of prediction here between Virgo and Just? Can you give me a little bit of a bias maybe on who you think's going to take it here in game two?
Recency bias is a big one, and Just Esports might just take it because they won game one, and they have a comp that's way closer to what they played before in stylized. And I do also think that in general, what we are gonna see here is just how well Virgo communicates. If they can't communicate properly, it's gonna be really easy to see here. And I really want both these teams to really think about how are we gonna respond to each other. And I definitely want to see this Lucian pick as this. I really hope this is gonna be the Conqueror Lucian that I have been seeing a lot of the UK ADCs try out recently. Oh, it's not. Oh, god damn it. We still see two Conquerors with one on ribbon, but oh, I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed.
You're disappointed. Yeah, it's a shame. The changes to Conqueror, whether you be ranged or melee now, I definitely think it's a different beast, and it is really, really good on pretty much anyone, even some of the AP mages in the mid lane who are a bit more prevalent. So it's a shame, but teams haven't quite adjusted to it yet. So within the next few weeks, we may start seeing that pop up more frequently.
Yeah, I do still think PTA has a lot better uses for what they're gonna do here, but Conqueror is also just such a good thing for extended fights, and Lucian can proc it very easily with his passive. That was why I especially wanted to see it. I'm not sure that he can proc it multiple times with Zol. That's not something I've heard anything about. I don't think he can, but I still definitely think in extended fights, which with a Leona and against this tanky of a comp, I think Lucian can definitely be in. I would have liked to see just if they could actually turn team fights around using Lucian alone, because Nico had a fantastic game last time.
Oh, it's definitely up on there. We'll have to see. And I think I liked how you brought up the fact that there are a lot of tanky picks here on just esports currently. So I think, in my opinion, Virgo will have a bit of a struggle if they never really make it that way. So,
yeah,
we'll
we are
have
definitely getting ready for this, as we might just have a great game. So we are gonna be seeing some perhaps very fun gameplay here, as I do expect to see some of the things being repeated here. I do think Cases will still have a pretty favorable matchup up top. I do think, however, this time it's Duck Guy who's supposed to show jungle prowess. And then last time it's gonna be bot lane, this time on Nico and Better Banner side, who has to be more careful. I think last game they didn't get punished as much as they can possibly in this one. As we are heading into game, both of these teams getting ready for setting up, and a little trick that I have been picking up recently, and I think everyone should at home once they get into jungle, just immediately run towards one of the enemy buffs. I don't really suggest you do it blindly. Try and ping your teammates to go with you, and then just plant a ward. Back, get that sweeper. Because it's so much more effective to have sweeper early on, since you can get an early level 3 gank now. So just
Yes.
have the ward down, immediately back, make sure you have sweeper. It's an easy first gank. It will at least get you a flash, or in the very least get the ward to ensure that you already have a priority in one lane. It's just an amazing little trick, and you will thank me for it later.
I will say, though, these two teams just kind of going for a standard lineup here on line of scrimmage. May see some movement by Gragas here, possibly see if he's going to get in here deep and do exactly what you said. Going to get that ward right there on the red buff, as if you predicted it.
Yeah, and that's just great information, because they halving you would do mostly before is usually all camps red side. Whether you would do a Predator run, which is Raptors into Crocs, or Crocs into Raptors into the blue side, that was the big dependence. But now you can actually just go red into blue into Grom to get level 3, meaning that you will see some interesting ways of getting level 3 that you wouldn't before. And now making sure to know where people start is a lot bigger information than ever before. As you can see, Rex are already going for the blue side map. You would have not have seen that before. As level 1 already in bot lane, Better Banner being caught out.
Yep. Oh, sorry there. First blood going the way up, just AJ.
Oh,
Then right immediately, yeah, the Grog is showing immediately how dominant he can be. Just in the mid lane. Ooh, Buffer here getting some good poke on it just per. Gonna take a turret shot, actually taken pretty low there. He flashes forward, gonna be eliciting a response out of Buffer.
Yeah, that was a big one. As Case is also trading up top, he's one level behind. This is no good, no bueno. As just about everything is
Ooh,
going
good root
wrong
coming
right
there
now.
on top of Nico there. Going to be after running back into turd for safety. Did not use the flash yet, so he's still keeping his hands on that resource here.
Yeah, and I want to remind that every single member for this, or not every single prime laner has taken CP from the side of just esports here. They have it on top, mid, and ADC, all three. As we are seeing gank here in mid lane, but a definite loss in sums for. Oh
Taking
wait,
real low. Ooh, good movement from AJ there to get that knock up in the back line. Gonna be chasing that one out. Just Per, though, looking incredibly low. He's got to make some respect here to Buffer here. I will say, though, the Ignite and Flash are both down, so he does have a bit of safety here, but I would still like to see a bit more of an illicit response.
he gets it.
Oh, the
Okay,
E. Carry rope on the side there. He gets the return. Not quite. Shroud just in time to save the day. Carry rope isn't going to let this one go just quite. He actually isn't able to pick that one up. Buffer gets out pretty clean there.
Yeah, and that's just so unlucky. He did have it, but he didn't auto cancel it properly, and therefore
Kaiser getting knocked up in the top lane.
Oh
Brittle
my.
collab. Oxytocin getting the solo kill in the top lane.
Yeah, and this was my concern coming for this on, but I do like to see the more aggression from Virgo. Sadly, it hasn't been working out in their favor, even though they also have the more proactive summoners. I will really want to see them really get something going here. They need to not let this discourage them. It is their only window of opportunity to get something going before 15 minutes. As we do see Duck Guy already getting ready for another mid lane gank.
I will say, though, if you're talking about getting something going early here, Buffer has shown that the early prowess on the Akali has worked here. And we already see Ann back in the mid lane again, getting that knockup on just Per. Actually taking him down pretty low. Just AJ now in the back line. Gonna miss the knockup. Q does hit. Buffer is in deep now with Shroud here, laying out the QE. Try and chase this one out. Just Per taken very low. He's able to get under turret and pick that one off. That's another kill for the Akali in the mid lane.
Yeah, and that body slam missing could just be the big decider there, and this is just like really good setup here by Duck Guy and Rufus just being actually in sync, which is something we liked a bit here in the last game's early game. As now Duck Guy is really gonna show presence as he's going for the top side gank.
Beta Benner gonna be locked on to carry up here.
my.
Gets a massive flash over the wall there. Return the hook under turret there. Gets the root onto Beta Benner. We do see the feathers coming out here. No root to follow up. But such a good disengage from Just Esports there.
Yeah, and Woofer already trying to bully out just AJ in his own jungle. Level 5 to level 4, and he's just making sure AJ ain't having a fun time.
Gosh, look at the vision control from the side of Virgo here early. And that's exactly what they need to do. Ooh, Buffer going in on top. Shroud comes out. Just Per taking a bit low. Doesn't quite have the agency just yet. Perfect execution not on the table.
Yeah, no waste of time from these sides. They want every second to count. They need to build that early, lead or defense, depending on which team you want to look at. And so far, it has been pretty close. Like, we do see a lead still from Just Esports here, but Virgo can still have a lot of room to turn around as level 6 is getting closer, and Cases and Oxytocin has already picked their ults up.
Yeah, top lane here. I will say the duel currently in top lane going completely the opposite direction that I expected. Oxytocin playing this so well. Not quite able to hit Kaiser there. Just a bit of the dashing back and forth to save the day. But he has been bullied so hard out of this. Ooh, Shockwave coming in deep on top of Buffer in the mid lane. And no mana there. The Shroud comes out to save himself. He's actually incredibly low. I'd be surprised if he takes us any further.
Yeah, and so far we've just seen a lot of trading in these solo lanes especially, and I think a lot of people underestimate how much damage Horn does early game. It's actually insane with Brittle alone. He's probably one of the best traders there. Brittle plus Grasp just deals so much damage with one auto attack, it's actual burst damage. And then meanwhile, Cases, while he's playing Ribbon, he's playing it into tank, so it's not going to do as much damage as you might be used to with Old Conqueror. Uh, so he does get a little more punished in these lanes that actually can just resist him.
Other than that, looking here.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
And
Andy
carry
getting
rope.
engaged here on a carry rope, possibly. He does recognize that just AI isn't there. or AJ, sorry. The ward was, like I said, the vision here in this jungle is so good right now by Virgo. They're playing it so well.
Yeah, and they're really focusing on that bot side. I thought they would be more playing towards cases, but instead of just getting their own ahead, they want to put the enemies behind. That's also a very viable strategy. Really just making sure it's Pair who is getting the last of all of these traits going over, as Woofer is massively ahead with those 2 kills.
Ooh, speaking of Glazer here, going to be hit by the clap. Actually, it's knocked up against the wall. Seen call. The Forge God now going to be called out in the top lane. Going to get that
Oh
knockup
my
as well with
God.
another brittle
And
clap.
lane?
Oxtal's only going blow well. Andy now here in the bot lane going to get rooted out there. Carry just barely missing the hook return.
And he's a Woofer. So it's still 4v3 down here if they decide to go besides against it. Alright. They might be turning towards Drake though. That would be the first dragon of the game. Meanwhile, Oxytocin just smashing up in the top lane. Complete turnaround from last game.
Yeah. I will say though, no ultimates are online for the bot lane or junglers right now, so these team fights aren't even fully enabled. Ooh, Buffer there going to be slowing out just per. Well, actually, List the Ignite. E goes in deep under turret. We're going to see the flash come out. Perfect execution. The explosive casket. I mean, the casket missing on the sideline. Now Nick has to flash to get over the wall to escape their Beta Banner. Now the one target on the focus here. Ooh, we do see autos are ticking down, and Beta Banner is going to be taken out just per picking up that one. And now, with Leona down, the priority and the tankiness is not there, and I think that first dragon is going to be going the way of Just Esports.
Yeah, and with Nico just playing Ezreal last game, you would think that E-ing forward would have been the last of his intentions there, but as a result, he has to burn a flash and Better Banner gets caught out. Now we will see the Ocean Drake pop over here for Just Esports, and Oxytocin will just TP back into lane to make sure Riven doesn't get any leads in this game.
Yeah, Riven, Kaiser being shut down so well right now by Oxytocin. It's pretty incredible. The CS lead has just continued to grow since the game has begun. And with that 2-kill lead, it's actually really impressive to see just the prowess coming up Ornn right now.
Yeah, and also just we see a lot of pressure going in towards mid lane, and yet while all of that pressure is going on, the lead that they're getting is not big enough to deal with the leads that's happening other places on the map. And while bot lane has been very self-contained, it has been so much in favor of Just Esports that it's pretty crazy to think about, because Lucian is always known as the early game champ, but he hasn't been able to pick up anything in this game yet.
Ooh, Buffer going to be slowing out Oxytocin here. Up in top lane, they're looking to secure the scuttle pretty early here for Virgo.
Yeah, and with those tower plate changes, they will give less gold than they used to, but they're still worth 120 gold, so they're nothing to sneeze at, and they will definitely make it a lot easier for this all.
Level advantage in the bot lane. Carry Rope stepping up here. Gonna get the hook on top of Beta Banner. Root comes through. Depth charge on the Lucian. Gets knocked out. Beta Banner taking incredibly low with the Ignite.
Okay.
Berserk chasing him into the alcove. He's gonna be able to pick that one up, but not before we almost saw one of the new additions to the Rift be used there. Always fun.
Yeah, and Rek'Sai on her mother right now. Yeah, talking about the Rift Herald, not some other stuff that you might have been thinking about there.
Oh my gosh, what the heck?
Yeah.
Why?
Don't worry, it was a meme once Rift Herald came out, but yeah, Rift Herald as Rex is about
Ooh,
to pick up
hook
as
on top of Nico
Lucian.
there.
Oh
Root
my.
comes out taken solo, has to heal to get himself to safety. Oh, now Oxytocin on top of the Rek'Sai here in the pit, and returns with the knockup. The Brittle has taken him down low, just AJ in this backline. Call the Forge God misses. Now Kaiser is in this backline with Buffer. Just AJ uses the stopwatch to save himself, but not before Kessler takes him out with the ultimate. Oxytocin gets that return kill. Buffer has to flash over the wall to avoid the knockup. That's a 1-for-1 over by the Rift Herald trade.
Yeah, but it was also 2 flashes for 1, and I'm not entirely sure. I do think that, yeah, Doc, I just managed to get that Rift Herald off as well. But with now both flashes down for Junk Mid, I think it will be pretty hard to deal with this Orianna now.
Yeah, the Orianna finally actually starting to come online. Double Doran's Ring. We're going to start seeing those completed items come out here soon. I don't think Hextech Gunblade from Buffer is really the big impact item that's going to be changing the day here. So we either need to start seeing some more roams, some capitalization on this bot lane before they get too ahead. But Buffer, while he has shown impact and movement around the map, hasn't gotten too strong of a lead for Virgo yet.
Yeah, we just see it's kind of the fatigue. Like after game one, that was pretty rough. We now just see few too many fights not going in their favor in the early game. Virgo being quite left behind, especially up top side where Cases has to pretty much fend for himself, and that's a pretty rough time as a Riven into an own. While the matchup is still skill dependent, it's not like Riven has a lot of ways to deal with just the massive amount of damage that Ornn can provide without building any damage items. And now he's just got so much armor.
Yep. I will say we're seeing some movement here by and looking to go in the bot lane. Oh, but he is going to be spotted out by the control ward pretty darn early there. Looks to take this one out, but not before getting poked down. Currently low, we see the flash from Carry Rope there trying to get deep. Root comes down on top of Beta Banner. Going to be pulled back, and the Root is going to come through. Solar Flare goes down, but it's not going to be enough flash from Beta Banner. Comes out, explosive cast, pushes him back against the wall with a knockup from just AJ to secure the kill for Carry Rope here in the bot lane.
Yeah, Carry Rope was very conservative with that ult use. He waited just until he was making sure that Nico was gonna be knocked up as well as multiple other people. He would get better banner here. I'm a bit surprised he didn't just immediately go for a duck guy, but being this conservative will all still did pay off for one kill, and they are looking to expand into bot side presence as AJ steals the blue.
Yeah, good. I always like that. I mean, it's a bit of the payback. Oh, Shockwave on top of Buffer there in the mid lane. He knows not to follow that up, or else he would have been punished so bad.
Yeah, that's a statement, alright. Just absolute chat move, as we do see a fight down bot lane here. Nico just trying to go in, but by side just using the ult to get out.
I will say, though, the movement in the priority already. Ooh, Oxytocin actually after running away from Kessler here. He's taken very low. Oh!
And this is the turn.
Yep, here's the turn. Kaiser taking so low, and he's now in the backline. Uses the slow on top of Oxytocin. Returns turn, knockup comes through. He is stunned out under, but the ultimate assassination is coming through. The turret's ticking down, and is just barely able to get out. But that is a return kill finally on Oxytocin, and now the rift is being laid out in the top lane. We're going to see the teleport come through for just per. Gonna see if he's gonna be able to take that clear one out. Flashes forward. Ooh, in the back line now, in the bot lane, we see Leon with the Solar Flare igniting so quickly. Nico's gonna be able to pick that one up, and now Carry Rope is so deep there. The ignite ticks down on Nico. Carry Rope is trying to hook this one out. The W comes through for the slow, but he's so low. The culling, he's able to deal the damage. Beta Banner picking it up with a W at the very end.
Yeah, and Beta Banner just being so good at using these alcove walls to his advantage. Just really knowing how to kite around them properly, and really just making sure that this Nautilus won't ever get in close. He has such a good matchup here. He really knows the ins and outs of Nautilus and how far he can actually go. And they actually got something in bot lane, which was very impressive given their predicament.
Speaking of getting something in the lanes here, we're going to see top turret go down. Just per doing so good to defend against that impending rift.
The walls are gone!
Wait a second, here's Buffer here. Gonna be caught out. Gonna see the knockup come through from Oxytocin. Shroud doing a lot to save the day here. Buffer trying to do his best against Oxytocin, but as the team collapses, just AJ gonna be picking that one up there.
Yeah, and perfect execution not coming out from Buffer here to save his life. Maybe there was some fear of a follow-up, but that should definitely have been the cue to get out of there, and not quite doing it.
Well, it looks like Just Esports now has the big priority with this mid wave. Going to be taking that first turret here. Don't think they're going to be able to push it any further than that. But, I mean, if they're looking for a dive, they have the opportunity right now here. They've got all ultimates up if they want to go for it.
Yeah, and there's not really much they can do. There's not a whole lot of way clear from the side of Virgo here. They don't have the Oriana Sire that we see Just Esports with. What they actually only have here is the Lucian, which is not that great of wave play to begin with. I would say there's a lot of things going wrong if they ever get sieged on. So at least they don't get the outer turret here, but that could very well have been the case if Just Esports had taken a fight there.
I will say, Just Esports can pull back a little bit. 2 dragons already secured. There's going to be another one here in the next 3 minutes or so. They're on their way to a very, very early dragon soul. So I do think Virgo needs to start stepping up and being more proactive on these objectives.
Yeah, especially with second Herald now coming up, yet You heard me right. Second Herald. In case you haven't been tuning in to all of the new changes that we've had for preseason, one of them is that there's now 2 Heralds, and they take a lot more damage whenever they charge. And Better Banner might be caught out here by the rope.
Yep, gonna be hooked down. Root comes through, calling on the back line, trying to push him off, but the stun. Oh, gonna be using a stopwatch to do as much for himself as he can, but AJ's gonna be able to pick that one up here.
We'll pick up something here.
Not quite.
Oh wait, he
Oh,
might be
Buffer going in back. Just per chasing this one out.
Oh, he
Buffer
does
gonna
so
take a
much
low
damage.
Hexagon Blade. Shockwave misses there in the back line. Zonya's now, or stopwatch, sorry. Buffer now chasing out
Oh,
just
he
for
got
the
it.
flash. He's able to pick that one up. Carry rope
Oh,
now flashes over the
that
wall.
one
We
more.
do see an engage from the back line as Andy takes out carry
Bye-bye,
rope here.
Oxy.
And now Oxytocin over the wall, stunned out here. The damage is laying through. He uses the dash to get back under the wall, but Buffer and
Overclock.
Nico are chasing it out there. The unstoppable onslaught
Nico.
comes through. Nico's taken solo. Gets a return there for Oxy. Don't know if it was quite worth it. That's a 3 for 2 there in that fight.
I mean, it was also a Rift Herald over to just AJ, so let's see what happens. But this was a lot of gold over to the side of Virgo and could be a catalyst to getting back into the game. Ooh, I can't say that I entirely agree in that fight, but as long as they get the Inferno over, Just Esports will still have the upper hand here. Because if they manage to collect the 4 dragons for that soul, they should basically just have the free window to get into mid and late game.
I have to ask, Nick, have you seen the Elder Drake? Because I have literally never been able to see the Elder Drake come upon the Rift yet. Games end far too quickly before it makes that huge impact I've heard about.
Yeah, and it's mostly because that the Elder Drake works in a new way. You have to have one team have 4 dragons, which means it's either extremely late game or extremely snowbally, but not very objective focused. So you usually see it in lower elo, which of course we are of the higher elo caliber. And also, else it would have to be just an extremely snowbally game with no wave clear whatsoever. And we don't see a lot of these, but I have seen it once or twice, but it has usually been with some very heavy experimenting, more so than it just being consistent. I do still think it's a bit overtuned. I think it's actually stronger than Baron now, by quite a fair amount, but I also think it counters a lot of champion strategies,
Ooh,
such as...
Nico.
Oh god.
Throwing out the calling there. Just trying to clear the wave as best he can.
Oh.
We're going to see Harold, like you said, coming out, and let's see how big of a damage you brought up it actually is here.
You're getting ready. Assassination.
Ooh, Buffer in the back line, going to be using Hexagon Blade onto
Got it.
Bearsag. E on top of carry up there. Andy going deep. Double Shockwave in this back line here. We're going to see Featherstorm coming out really deep here. Better Banner going to be taken out. It's just picks up that kill. Buffer taking it incredibly low, but he's down in the shroud there. He uses perfect execution, but not before he goes down the Orn, taking out that kill. Kaiser now chasing this one to the back line. He's going to be picking up with the ultimate. Not before we see a double kill there for the Orn here in the mid lane. That's 4 members of Virgo down. We're going to see what these big boys can do as they push into the mid lane. They don't have the Rift Herald anymore, but I do think that's an inhib for themselves, possibly. I don't know if Annie can make the defense.
Now Virgo is a real big predicament because they also just used a lot of the summoners. I even saw Nico flashing inside the fight, and I'm pretty sure he got caught out by the body slam there by AJ as well. So this is just big. They already have 3 Drakes. They've cracked open an inhib turret. They need, if they get that inhib somehow, I don't think that should be their main priority right now, then they will suddenly have just the entire game open. And I do think if they get an inhib for no losses, or at least a net neutral, I do think Just Esports win the game. Like, it's going to be incredibly hard for Virgo to do anything once an inhib falls down, as Oxytocin might be caught. Oh my.
Oh, good play around that blast cone. That was pretty impressive, I have to say.
And also those infernal burned out walls and bushes.
Ooh, but Virgo not willing to stop here. They're on top of carry up. Ignite comes down, uses the hook to get out, but not before Solar Filler gets the stun in the backline. We're going to see Call the Forge God come out. Buffer's going to get knocked out, but carry up's too low. Buffer's incredibly low. The clap flash forward from Oxytocin. They turn their attention to Jasper. He's going to be using the Zonias. The collapse from Virgo now as Nico picks that one up. They turn their attention to Oxytocin as he's stunned out, trying to run this one away. He's finally made it under turret, but the dive has come through. Just AJ tries to get the return, but not before we see the Exile's Blade pick up that final kill for a 3 for 1. That's priority over Baron. Virgo should definitely look to capitalize on this objective. They have so much pressure here right now.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the big play. Like that would be what gets Virgo back into the game, but they don't seem confident enough doing it. They don't seem able to pull the trigger. Seeing okay, they still have two big carry damage threats. We might not be able to do it. I think that's a bit of a wrong mentality here. They need to just put everything on the line, but they're going for the more consistent route, just getting those waves, just resetting once again. While I might not be agreeing with it, I can understand that perspective given the game situation already in a pretty poor spot for them.
Well, at least they're setting themselves up for the next dragon. If they're going to be looking for an objective that really matters here, to defend against that dragon soul would probably be one of their biggest objectives here. So getting as much waves and scaling and gold as they can as they approach that time period, I definitely think that that could be something that's on their plate right now.
Yeah, and there's just so much vision presence here from the side of Just Esport setting up these neutral objectives as On gets to upgrade one of his allies items here, being that Oriana Zhonya's into our also beloved Sonya's Paradox here, giving some extra armor and ability power.
Now, Baron is up for the taking here. Ooh, Ornn actually starting one off, looking to see if we can possibly bait out Virgo, I assume.
Yeah, he didn't quite one-hit it as we have seen a lot of people soloing it recently with Sanguine Blade. I would have liked to see if Ornn could just do that Licorice one smack there, but that doesn't seem to be quite the case as it has to be lowered quite a bit.
Let's see. We're seeing the engage. The waves are starting to finally push in the mid wave here. Vision clearing coming out from Virgo.
Oxytocin in position to get a nice flank ult.
He's in that move. Oh, actually, Call the Forge God is coming out on top here. Oh, it's gonna miss from Oxytocin. He's taken real low by Buffer here. Buffer using E to get out of that one. Good shockwave in the backline of Indian Better Banner. We see Nico step forward, but not before Depth Charge comes out on top of Better Banner. He's taken incredibly low there. E misses, chasing him out, but not before Oxytocin gets the kill on Nico in the backline. We see Exile's Blade, but Bear Eye Sag taking out. Featherstorm comes out, gets a root on top of Buffer, but not before he goes down incredibly low there. Just and Oxytocin finishing that one off as they chase down Kaiser. We see Just Carry use the Blast Cone to get a good root unhook on top of the Kaiser to get that double kill, and that's a full team wipe out there for the side of Just Esports. And now that's a free Inferno, and that is the official Dragon Soul going straight to Just Esports.
Yeah, and this is insanely big for them as well. We see Virgo just here in a split fight where they get caught out once, and then suddenly everything's back around, going back to Just Esports. We didn't have Buffer being on Saya Orion, it was being zoned by AJ there, and then all of the damage didn't get out on Saya in time, so she actually got to do quite a bit of damage. Just Pair on this Orion also got to do quite a bit of damage, and that's very scary as they do have a lot of consistent damage.
Alright, well now the resets are coming out here. Baron is still up. We see Virgo trying to get the vision enabled on themselves here as early as they can, but like you said, with that Dragon Soul now in Just Esports back pocket, there's not a lot Virgo can really do to contest.
Yeah, and it should be a little bit of
Ooh, knockup coming Rook on top of Carry up there. They go deep onto Bear Eye Sag, but a double shockwave comes through from Just Per, turns it around them so quickly. Knockup now for Oxytocin in the backline as Carry picks up the kill on to Better Buffer, taking incredibly low the Ignite and coming down straight onto Bear Eye Sag. Gonna be able to pick that kill up there, but not before the hook return comes out as Oxytocin picks that one up. Nico in this backline gonna be picking up as Keisler actually finishes off AJ. The chase is now ensuing though. Oxytocin and Carry possibly looking for another to pick up there. Not quite going to be seeing that one. Ooh, Exile Blade come out there. Top Carrot Rope. I don't know how well. Oh, wow. Actually, never mind. The wave gets absolutely destroyed here. Curious to see if they can pick up in hit.
And they do also have that Infernal Soul, which is essentially just a Luden's buff on side.
Yeah. Oh, Inhib's taken pretty low, but Better Banner is back up here. We do see the Q come through. Yep, Just Esports just looks to just kind of back off. They're not willing to take that fight. They know they don't have their damage carries.
Yeah, and just one thing I want to make clear is that while we say that it's a bit like Luden's, I do still mean that it is a very low cooldown. I'm pretty sure it's 3 seconds. And that means they can essentially use it multiple times in the fight, as we do see a fight coming in and Duck Guy being chunked out.
Oh, what a shame there. Knock up though from Carry Rope. He's going to be taken out very quickly. Ooh.
And now
Bodes well for Virgo. AJ is still up though, so they can't really get on this Baron too easily. They have to pay respect though, even though it's a 4v5. They are still behind. Ooh, big vision coming out from Oxytocin there.
Shockwave is up and available, so is Feather Storm.
Ooh, Q comes through from backline. Annie trying to step up here. Better, Annie taken really low. Call the Forge God now. Moving its way, gonna knock up Vigo on the backline. AJ doing so well to pick up that kill. The culling coming through, doing absolutely no damage to Oxytocin. We see a great knockup on to Better in this backline. Verisac picking up that kill. Just AJ now in the backline. Gonna knockup come through from AJ. Picks up that kill as well. The jungler is down. And with 3 members of Virgo out of the way, this Baron looks like free gold for Just Esports.
Yeah, and it seems like Virgo has been struggling with everything just to stay in the game, as Exile Blade is getting back up for Riven here. It is just up to Riven to steal if they need any case of being in this game. Can cases do it?
Ooh, Kaiser. Oh, not quite. Shockwave saves the day. Hook comes through as a root as well. Just Per with that amazing Shockwave also securing that kill. Baron
To me, it also seemed like cases didn't quite get over the wall with that Q there. Just doing the slight miscalculation about wall size, or at least how close to the wall. Just jumping in the wrong direction. And then Shockwave, of course, coming out, not even eyeing over the wall. Just amazing setup there by Just Esports, and they should just be in position to end the game now, as they will finally get it to take down the last few bit of turrets, break open that base.
We'll have to see. Ooh, interesting teleport coming out there from Bear Eye Sag. Straight into the mid wave. Ooh, Buffer is in this back line. We see the engage from Better. Solar Flare comes through deep on to Bear Eye Sag. Gonna be taken off so quickly by Nico. Forge God comes through. But the damage by this soul is so absurd, as AJ is directly in this back line doing so much work. That's gonna be a double kill there for Just Per now as he finishes off with the Q. We see explosive cast on top of Kessler there. The hook hits and connects to Nico. He goes down as well as AJ smites for a finish. That's 3 kills on AJ in that last fight. And let me tell you, I believe this is it for Virgo. Their death timers, they're up in about 18 seconds here. That's inhib. These tanks don't take objectives too fast, so I would not be surprised if they don't finish it quite.
Yeah,
Just
this
waiting to
will
see.
be the 2-0 victory over Just Esports. After AJ just popped Woofer in that fight, it didn't matter how great they CC laid onto Saya here on Baron.
Ooh, Buffer and Better are up. We see the Hexa coming through. Shroud comes out. Solar Flare gets a double stun here on this backline. Just AJ taken incredibly low. The root on top of Better. He's taken super low in the backline. Oxytocin uses the E to get out. We see the Q, but Better is locked down. Unstoppable isn't going to save him. He tries to take out Better, chasing this one down, but the stuns come through, and Andy picks up that return kill. And Virgo saves the day with a Nexus being almost taken from them. They're not willing to give it up just yet.
Yeah, and just yet is the correct setting here, as it does seem like stalling the inevitable here, as while they did just defend the base, they did just get the biggest front line on the enemy team down. I do still think there's not much they can do here. The only way they can truly get something going is if they get this Elder Dragon. If they can get one neutral objective, then they suddenly have the availability to turn the game around. But to do that, they need to also take it before Oxytocin gets to TP in, and they need to take a fight. Can they win a fight? That's what we're gonna see. As
Ooh, just for in the backline, that big damage from the soul there from the Q.
Yeah.
Ooh, the chase comes through, and going deep. We see the culling. That's Bear Eye Sag down, but the depth charge is coming through on top of this. Lucian carry up, taking incredibly low, but the backline has arrived here. Better gonna be taken out immediately from AJ. Buffer goes deep in the backline. Explosive cast, it misses on Nico. There flashes into the bush, but Just Per picks out Buffer as well as Nico goes down the backline. Carry rope finishing off the 1v1 there. Oh, that was very nice. Carry rope, bit of the flex on Kessler. And finally, Just Esports in a clean 2-0 fashion take this game from, they take it from Virgo. Oh gosh, sorry,
yeah,
losing it there.
They will finish 5th in Division 2. tying with ULM, but given that we decide based on head-to-head, ULM won the head-to-head, just esports, they will finish 5th, making sure that Virgo stays beneath them and might even just kind of say, hey, we want this ULM guys. You can take Virgo. They seem to be way weaker than that.
All right.
But definitely, like, if we have to talk about what's different from this game, we just saw Akali perform in both games, definitely being the key pick here. But this time we saw Oxytocin just an amazing performance on this Ornn. I really like to see how this is going to go as we turn to playoffs. We have been so glad that you guys tuned in. It has been such an amazing performance. See, is there anybody you especially want to just quickly praise as we are heading out?
Uh, I don't have much left to say in me, Nick, but I do have to say one last thing. I am Optimus Prime, and thank you for joining us at Serenity Gaming here.
Yes, as we will head out and hope you guys will tune in to playoffs as we are heading there. I've been Nicholas, your colorcaster, joined here by C as the play-by-play caster. Thank you guys for tuning in as we will be looking towards playoffs, and we will see you guys soon.
Again, you wanna dose of this right now it's KDA. I'm a goddess with a blaze. 소리처럼 나 이름 믿지 못하게 loud 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 loud. I could take you to the top. 절대 멈추지 못해. 내가 끝내주는 man yeah yeah yeah. And when I start to talk that oh you know how to react. I'm a picture perfect face with the wild in my face. You can hear it in my glow glow glow. So keep your eyes on me now. 언제든지 내 모습